Hello there, this is Music Man 0150, also known as Gary, and yes, I'm back again with another video, and we're going to take a look at another television, or monitor you might say. In fact, we had looked at this one a while back, but we're going to look at it again in more detail than we had before, and this is primarily going out to those YouTube subscribers that like to restore old television sets. Well, as you can see, this is very similar to a television, with the exception, as you may have recalled before if you have seen my video on 2 vintage CCTV monitors. If you haven't, you can take a look at that one, but we're going to concentrate primarily on this particular one here. And the reason for that is it's very similar to another CCTV monitor that I've still been looking for a long time. There was one at Heidelberg University. When I was going to school, it was actually Heidelberg College over in Tiffin, Ohio, but now it's Heidelberg University, and that's actually where I got this monitor from. It was from the TV station, and it wasn't working at the time, so they gave it to me because I needed a 19-inch monitor for my first magnifier, which you have seen as well, and that's up at Unity Center for Spiritual Living. But anyway, I got this monitor from Heidelberg University, and they said that it didn't work, and so I went ahead and took it and was able to fix it, per se, just by the adjustment of the vertical hold control. That was all that was wrong with it, really, was the vertical hold control was missing. And so a friend of mine who is no longer living, he passed away in the early 2000s decade. His name was Charlie Richardson. He gave me a knob to use, or to put on this monitor, because I had this monitor also at the Associated Neighborhood Center on Jacobs Road in Youngstown, and being that I was missing a knob, he found one and put it on, and it fit. And this is the knob right here. This is the one that was replaced. And then, of course, these knobs here are the originals, but this one here, you can see this one is kind of semi-broken. And so I want to hopefully find another knob like this, or even like this, and replace this knob here. So that way I don't lose it if the knob would happen to fall off. But anyway, this is a 19-inch Panasonic monitor, and down here you can see it says Panasonic. It's probably hard to see because I'm on the floor, and the TV is on the floor as well. But it is a Panasonic. And then, of course, this switch over here, this is another fault with it now. This switch here is broken. But what it allows you to do is it allows you to switch from VTR to camera. VTR is video tape recorder. That's how they classified VCRs back in the early 70s. I believe this is a either a late 60s model or an early 70s model. I'm guessing it's going to be an early 70s model because it is all solid state. It's all solid state. There's no tubes in it other than the picture tube. But you can see that it is built like a tank, and I'm actually looking for the version of this monitor with the tuner. And if anybody out there knows the model number or happens to come across one, let me know, because I would really like to have the one with the tuner as well as the connections for straight audio video input, because Heidelberg University, as I said, had one, and they were still using it at the time when I graduated, so I was unable to get it. And now I don't know if they still have it or not, because you know the technology has changed over 20 years and it's probably long gone by now. So if anybody may come across one as they're doing their TV hunting or their TV restoration, let me know, and then maybe we can work something out. But this is the front of the set, and I'm going to pause the camera a minute because it's going to take two hands to turn it around, and I'll show you the back. Okay, this is the back of the set now, and you can see it's the style of the vintage 19-inch Panasonic TVs that most of you may have recalled from the early years. The one thing that this monitor doesn't have, but you can see where it could be, are the two telescoping antennas, or rabbit ears you might want to call. That's what those two round circles are, except on this particular TV they're sealed off, they're blocked off, because there's no tuner on this. And then of course right there you can see it has the optional VHF and UHF antenna connection. And so that's why these specific style Panasonics really interest me, because I'll tell you why. My grandfather had a Panasonic television, and I'll kind of give you the description of it, and that way it'll be maybe easier to find. His Panasonic 19-inch was brown with a silver trim around the front edge, and the rim, you might say, the rim around the picture tube front was also silver. Okay, sorry about that. Had a call I needed to take there. So anyway, getting back to the description of my grandfather's Panasonic 19-inch television set, as I started to say, it was brown with a silver trim around the front, and then the rim around the front of the picture tube was also silver, and where the dials were was silver, where the tuning dials were, and then below the dials it had 3 slide controls for volume, brightness, and contrast. And then next to those slide controls it had a push button for on and off, and then the black speaker grill with a earphone jack on the bottom. And that's the description of that particular Panasonic that I've been trying to find for a long time. And the back of that set is exactly the same as this one. You can see where it has the, as I just mentioned before, the antenna hookup, and then the holes, the vent holes. They're identical to the set I just described. And the other Panasonic 19-inch that I'm really interested in is very similar to the one I just described. It belonged to my great aunt, and then my parents got it, and then I used it for a little bit before we got rid of it. But it was a brown TV cabinet with a silver trim, or maybe it wasn't silver. It was more like a grayish white. I can't remember for sure, but I think it was grayish white. But it had the slide controls on the top of the front of the set, where you had the volume and then the contrast and then the brightness going from right to left. Those slide controls were on top, and the power switch was a toggle switch on the upper right hand corner of the front of the set, and then the UHF and VHF tuners were below that, and that faceplate was all black with a white rectangle around the tuners, and they also had a pilot light, a green pilot light for each channel indicator, the UHF and the VHF. They had a green pilot light indicator, and then of course the black speaker grill on the bottom. And then the earphone jack for that particular set was on the side. It wasn't in the front. And the other neat thing about that set, not only was it all black just on the faceplate for the tuner and speaker, but it had an extra screen glare reducer plate that was tinted, that covered the front of the picture tube. And the frame of that picture tube was black also. So that gives you a pretty thorough description of both of those Panasonics if you ever come across them. And speaking of model numbers, this model number here is a TR-195MB. And I'm not sure what the model number would be for the CCTV monitor with the tuner in it. Maybe it's TR-95MA or MC. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Those are just guesses because I never saw the back of that set thoroughly to remember it. But here you can see over on the lower left-hand corner, if you're facing the back of it, these are the connections for the video and the audio. And this connection here is for the old type videotape recorders. I think the other end of the cable was some kind of a multi-pin connector, and then it converted to this rectangle connector. I'm not really sure exactly, but I think that's what the cable was. I don't have that particular cable per se, but I do have a cable that's similar with this type of connector on it, because one of my other televisions has this connector. And then of course you have the power cord. Now the power cords on those other two TVs that I mentioned, they were just a standard two-prong plug with a standard cord. But this one, as you can see, is much thicker, and it's also grounded. This is the grounded plug, which I think is a lot safer. I believe in grounding things, you know, for safety. So that's why I like this one a lot. And you can see how this has the cord wrappers too. And the cord wrappers on this TV, and plus the two that I mentioned, described actually, we're in the same spot except they were also brown. And then the vertical and the horizontal controls for those other two TVs that I mentioned, they were here on the back. In fact, the horizontal control looks like it's in the same spot, but as you can see, there's no vertical control here on the back because naturally it's in the front. But here's the standard two-prong socket that would normally be here if it was a regular TV with an interlock. So you can actually see how this Panasonic design carried over into the CCTV monitors, which is amazing, really amazing, especially this one. And as long as I can keep this one running, I'm gonna have it for a long time. The only thing that's wrong with it, and I think you've seen it probably in a previous video when I did demonstrate it, it has a hum bar. So the picture waves a little bit, and of course the picture tube, it's a little bit blurry when you first turn it on, and then after a while it warms up. And I would like to somehow, some way, obtain one of those Sencor tube CRT testers. I was watching DRH4683's video last night, as a matter of fact, with him demonstrating the Sencor CRT tester restorer, and I'll tell you what, that really looks like a nice piece of equipment. And I think if I could ever get one, I want to be able to restore the picture tube on this and see if I can extend the life of it, because the high voltage is excellent on this set. It's excellent. I mean, the picture gets really bright, and everything else is working fine other than the little hum bar. So it's just a matter of maybe changing a filter capacitor and then restoring the picture tube, and this set should be good to go for a long time. So if anybody out there has come across one of these TVs and actually restored them, I'd like for you to upload a video if you have one, and share it with everybody, and that would be really good. So this kind of gives you a thorough description now of this particular Panasonic TV, and we have demonstrated it before, but let's go ahead and demonstrate it again. Oh, you know what though? Before we do demonstrate it, I'm curious to take a look on the inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video again, and we're going to pull the back off, and we're going to take a look inside and see what it has. Okay, here is the inside of the TR-195MB Panasonic black and white 19-inch monitor. And I remember, I think one time I had this open, but it's been so long since I had this open to see what's in it. And boy, there's a lot of components in here. And as I was looking at this before I came back on the video here, I can recall very thoroughly the similar setup of the old Panasonic that me and my parents had at our house from my great aunt. And because there was a couple of times I would open that up, you know, and try to, you know, and just kind of tinker around with it, trying to get it to work even better. But anyway, looking at the components in here, you can see that this is definitely vintage. Got the big flyback transformer, and the high voltage circuitry is exactly where it was on my great aunt's Panasonic. It's on the over there on the right hand side if you face the picture tube this way. Very easy to get to if you had to change anything or check anything out. There's the high voltage section, and then of course the I'm guessing those capacitors there, those blue ones, are for the horizontal section, probably vertical section too, even though it's the vertical set up way over on the other side. And then of course over here we got some more capacitors, and we got some kind of components back here. That looks like that white looks like a sand block resistor, I think. And then we have some more transformers, I believe, or some connections here, you know, for the various controls. And we got the speaker there. That's I'm guessing that's a 3x5 inch speaker. And there's the back of the control panel. And then the large picture tube with the yoke. It's kind of dusty in here. I never thought it was this dusty in it, but it is. And there's some brown stuff accumulated in here. I wonder if that's rust. Boy, I hope that's not rust forming in this thing, because this was out in the garage for some time. It wasn't out in the garage maybe more than maybe a couple years. When I was over at the other house next door to where I am now, this was up in the attic of the garage over there for at least maybe 2 or 3 winters, and I'm just hoping that that is not rust forming, or that formed on the chassis. Let's take a little closer look, and then maybe somebody out there can determine what that might be. It doesn't feel like it's rust, because I'm rubbing it with my finger and it's smooth. And there's nothing that's showing on my finger that you know, it's indicating rust. But I don't know what that could be then, unless that's leakage from this big filter capacitor, because this is the only big capacitor that I see. And so I'm wondering if this is the filter capacitor for the power supply, because the power supply is right here. You can see where the gray cord goes up into the set, and it goes back in here somewhere. I don't know where it actually connects to. It's hard to see. Sorry for the fast jerkiness there. I'm just trying to move closer. Yeah, I can't really tell. And this here looks like another, I'm not sure what that is. It looks like some kind of transformer maybe. But it's interesting to look inside this vintage TV compared to what's out there today. This is probably the oldest TV that I have, even though it's just a monitor. This has to be the oldest set I have. Like I say, it's probably from the early 70s. But surprisingly, you know, I thought, you know, it's really not in that bad a shape. You know, for the climate changes it's been through, and for the age. And that's why I'm taking thorough, images of it, so those of you that are watching, you can tell me if you can rate your thoughts on the condition of it as well. But I mean, this is interesting to see the inside. In looking with the naked eye, that could be rust. That could have been rust forming. So I don't know. I mean, I've used this set for a lot, and like I say, there hasn't been any problems with it thus far, other than this filter capacitor. And then here's the picture tube. It doesn't look like, yeah, it's dirty. Got to be real careful so that we don't crack it. Boy, I'd be devastated if this tube cracked. Yeah, I feel something right here. Let's see if we see anything that's unusual. There's like a little, the glass right here where I'm putting my finger, it doesn't feel like it's totally smooth. But it doesn't appear to be a crack. I don't know. But what I'm concerned with is, if I was to go ahead and try to test this, it would be trying to pull this off without harming anything, because I don't know whether this has been pulled off or not. So what would you recommend on how to take that tube socket off if need be? What would you recommend on on doing the right procedure for it? So anyway, that's quite interesting to see that. And this kind of reminds me of those TV sets that I was watching the other night when another YouTube subscriber was at this guy's house looking at TVs that were sitting outside. The video called Rust Collection with Vintage Tube Type Televisions, that's the video I'm referring to. And I really apologize for not remembering your name that uploaded that video offhand, but I think I do have you on I think I do have you on my subscription list, so you can always comment and you can tell me if you have found any similar sets like this, or give me some pointers on how to remove this picture tube socket if I wanted to test the picture tube out, because like I said, it hasn't been moved probably for a good number of years, probably at least 40 years. If this set is like a 1975, then it's 40 years old. So anyway, very interesting. And when I was taking the screws out of the back, the screw holes were exactly where they were on the other Panasonic televisions that I was describing. In fact, I got the back right here, and you can see where the screw holes are, and that right there is very common with these Panasonics. They got two on the top, two holes on the top, so it must be the similar models that they made, and they just they must have made it so it's compatible, with similar models if you had to replace a back. And then of course, if you do take the backs off of these monitors, you got to watch right here with these 4 screws, because that's for this the terminal plate. And that's what this is. That's what we were looking at. This right here. This is the back of the terminal plate. So you have to make sure that you take those 4 screws out so that you don't break the wires off of this terminal plate. But anyway, that's an overview of the inside of the 19-inch Panasonic TR-195MB TV monitor. So I hope you found this pretty interesting. And thus far, because I did say we were going to demonstrate it, so we're going to put it back together and then power it up and see what it does. Before we put the set back together, I wanted to show you the underneath side of it, because I had to lay it on its front to take the screws out. And there you can see the bottom part of the TV there. That's in pretty good shape. I don't see any kind of signs of brownage on it, which is good. And then this is an actual printed circuit board. I didn't realize it was. I was thinking this set was hand wired, but it's not. It's a printed circuit board, and it's very, very similar to the printed circuit board and chassis setup that was on my great aunt's Panasonic. It's very, very, very similar. So that's why, if I could ever find another of those, one of those Panasonics, that would be amazing. Because that TV was junked back in 1982, and so it's been 33 years since I've had that set. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and put this back together and power it up and see what it does. Okay, I'm back now. Finally got the TV back together. When you put the back on these specific TV sets, the back is very flexible, so you have to make sure that the holes are lined up. So it took me a little while to get all the holes lined up. But after putting the screws in place, I noticed that the back is much, much tighter than it was. So I'm thinking maybe the first time that I did open this up, I didn't quite put the back on correctly. So anyway, it's on nice and tight now. And as you can see, I know it's kind of dark because of the lighting, and this camera doesn't have a light. But you can see I got the cables hooked up, the yellow to the video, and the black one is connected to the audio. So let's go ahead and power this up and give you another overview of what it does. And you can see the little red light is on. It's actually just a red square. The bulb itself is a regular pilot bulb, and then they have a red square to indicate that it might be a red light. And there comes the video for the TV, and you can see that it's got pretty good quality, like I kept mentioning. These particular sets are built like a tank, and right now my Roku box is going through the set right now, and that's why you can see the menu, the Roku menu on there, where it says settings. So let me let's see. I think the remote is up here. Got the remote here. Let's see if we can get something going on it. Let's see here. Just want to try to find something that won't be copyrighted. Yeah, let's use TBN. And that way I can give you sound too. Well, come on. It's not connecting. Okay, let's see. Maybe it's not connected to the network, so let's check that. Because I think I was having some trouble with this connecting to the network. So it's searching for the network now. And okay. Unable to connect. Select repeat guided setup. Okay, to continue. Okay, let's do that. So we want to go, and I do apologize for the extreme movement around, but the black scanning lines don't help in trying to read this. There we go. Okay, there's my network. Okay, so we want that one. That's the strongest. Okay, the password is saved. That's good. So now let's see what happens. Yay! It connected. Alright, now we should be able to click on a channel and it should come in for us. Okay, let's go to TBN. There we go. Now we're going somewhere. Oh, what happened? Back. Okay. Oh, okay. There we go. I didn't hit the right part, the right menu selection. There we go. Okay, now you can actually see the video on there, and let's turn up the sound and you can hear it. Yeah. Yeah, the volume level is kind of low because of, I think it's because of the Roku box, because the volume level is usually higher than that. And I notice when I turn it, it breaks up. So, pot cleaning time. Yep, gotta clean the controls again. Let's see how the contrast works. That one's not too bad. I'm going to turn the sound down to, keep from violating the copyright. Yeah, brightness works fine. And then, of course, the vertical. Yeah, that's fine too. Yeah, it's just the volume. So I'm going to have to get some. I'm going to have to spray some control cleaner in that, and that should take care of that problem. But there you have it. A real detailed overview of the TR-195MB Panasonic 19-inch CCTV monitor. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have any comments, please leave them. And those of you that are restoring TVs, if you happen to find those other TVs that I had mentioned, put them in the comments and let me know where they are. And then I can, either see a video of them or maybe try to get my hands on one of them. So, thanks again for watching, and I'll be putting up more videos very, very soon.